So this talk is called Special Relativity Without Constant Light Speed. And it's a carry on from the previous video, Magic of Einstein, 1905. Light speed constant means light speed not constant. Where it's pointed out there is difficulty in understanding what Einstein meant by constant light speed in his 1905 paper on special relativity, because he was using non-constant light speed in his mathematics for special relativity. Thus, when he says light speed constant, that is contrary to what he presented with his theory, still using non-constant light speed. It is like special relativity is not really based on constant light speed. And so Einstein in 1905, special relativity paper, wrote equations like this, shown here. And the thing to note is the C plus V, and C is light speed in vacuum relative to some frame, and V is a speed greater than 0. So C and V added together give a speed greater than C. Can then call this speed, which is C plus V relative to some frame, some name like total light speed. Then total light speed, C plus V, is non-constant. This is in this paper before deciding to change addition of speeds later on. So he starts with adding speeds in the normal way. He adds speed C with the speed V, where V is non-zero, and he creates a speed C plus V, which is greater than C, which we now should probably call total light speed. And so total light speed is not constant, and that is in the mathematics of Einstein's relativity from the very beginning. The way that Einstein writes makes his theorizing difficult to try to make sense of what he's talking about. Hence all these different attempts to add things to what he says to try to make sense of what he says. Such examples is claiming he abandoned absolute space and absolute time are added to the theory when he makes no such claim in 1905. And I've explained this a lot in other videos, where the people working from Einstein's relativity start changing things, which I would call moving the goalposts. Einstein has been very influential in physics, and ideally he should not have been. However, given that he was influential, it forces us to try to make sense of his vague thinking. Thus we form from his writings such things as special relativity without constant light speed, as possibility as to what he really meant in his 1905 paper. So special relativity without the postulate of constant light speed has been shown in papers which have been published, such as this one. And if you read it, it says special relativity without the postulate of constancy of light. In a recent paper, Weinstock offers an unconventional basis for the theory of special relativity. Basically, all that is needed beyond the postulate of symmetry and relativity for mechanical phenomena is the unequivocal fact that a high speed proton, say, possesses a greater mass than a low speed proton. And he carries on from that. And so the point is, it's pointing out it's unconventional basis for the theory of special relativity to say there is no postulate of constancy of light speed. But with Einstein's bad writing for his theory in 1905, it ends up as one of the possibilities for how to interpret what he's saying. Thus we have all these different directions that people have taken with Einstein's relativity, which I call moving the goalposts. In that particular paper on special relativity without a constancy of light speed, it talks about mass increasing, which is relativistic mass. And as I pointed out in one of my videos, relativistic mass is moving the goalposts again and is another topic of arguing about things. Einstein does not talk about relativistic mass in his paper 1905 on special relativity, and so to introduce relativistic mass is just moving the goalposts again. But that is beside the point. That there are attempts made to construct special relativity without the light speed constancy postulate. And as pointed out, what Einstein wrote in 1905 special relativity paper, it is vague as to what he really meant. Thus, if I meant special relativity to be without the postulate, then maybe that's what Einstein really meant, despite seemingly saying the opposite to it. Then we go to articles like this one in Live Science. It says speed of light may not be constant, physicist says. And there are various people saying this, that the speed of light is not constant. There are of course people saying that the speed of light is constant in some papers, but I think they're mistaken. And the papers that are saying that speed of light is not constant are probably more correct. So going by the papers which say that light speed may not be constant, then what as Einstein was saying in his 1905 paper on special relativity has been misinterpreted, and light speed is not constant anyway. Then those people who have defined it as constant would have really messed things up. And if we look at Wikipedia, it's saying that the International System of Units has been defined with light speed being constant, so that is really messed up if light speed is not constant. Thus the method that the mainstream physicists prefer to engage in is what I call keep making a mess but carry on regardless. And that's the Einstein's magic. He's written some papers and it's very difficult to understand what he's talking about. He's made a mess and people are looking at that and they're making more of a mess. And how they make the mess is by method of moving the goalposts, by making changes. By adding those changes, they are trying to make sense of what Einstein says, but what they're really doing is creating more of a mess. And in this video I pointed out that maybe what Einstein really meant is light speed is not constant, which is contrary to what he actually was saying. So Einstein says things wrong. And that's the end of this little talk. Thank you very much.